Hi everyone, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. I'm excited to be here with you guys today to talk about the astrology that's happening over the next week. Now, I usually don't do weekly chats on astrology, but this week is special as there's a special astrological continuum of transits that I think are really beautiful and interesting. So I'm excited to tell you guys about it. Essentially, the sun is going to go through a period of many aspects that are once in a lifetime, that are never going to happen again, and I think it'll be worthwhile to talk about them. So there's a lot to talk about. Now, I'm having some technical issues, and if a technical issue happens, then I will film whatever. If you see me fall offline, I will film the rest of the video and put it up for members. But this video is intended to be for everyone. So I'm filming this for everyone. And then if there's a technical issue, then I'm going to film it for members, and I'll be back in a day or so with something else for everyone. But if you don't have a membership, I'm not pushing memberships, I'm just telling you how it works. If you don't have a membership, I will do a write-up on what I find today when we do the talk on my Substack down below. Now, I've told you guys that I'm gonna do a Substack video or article about the eclipse that just happened. It's coming. I'm just collecting a lot of different information, so be patient with me. I have a lot of different things on the go with that I want to write about and publish. So some of the things that I've already mentioned is the Sun-Saturn conjunction coinciding with the last event of Lent. That's significant because it's happening in Pisces, which is the sign of Christianity. I'm not a Christian, but I'm just interested by this information. So I think you'll be too, and I'll make it from the astrological perspective. So I'm respectful to Christianity. This is not to bash it or criticize it in any way. I'm just going to observe the astrology of this. And I mean, it affects all of us. So, I'll put that on the Substack as well. I'm also working on an article about Shevchenko. If you've been following me on other platforms, I found a very interesting synchronicity. He is a poet and painter of the resistance of Ukraine. And again, this is a non-political astrological observation I found. So I'm still working on that. Let me tell you if I can tell you something else that I'm working on. The full moon information, including the moon water. So some of you guys made moon water for this eclipse, and I promised that I would provide you with a way to do the moon water for the September eclipse in case you missed it. That's still coming, and if you're worried about it, you don't have to worry about it because it's not time sensitive in any way. So that's why I haven't published it yet, because we have a little bit of time to get ready for making the next batch. So I'll put that up somewhere. I was really happy with the members moon water video, so I might not make a second video addendum to it. I just might incorporate it maybe in your article about the eclipse. I'm not sure, but you'll definitely have an all access to that information when I have it together. What else do I have? I have a couple things I'm not mentioning yet, but those are some of the things that I've already mentioned elsewhere. And so, of course, I'm getting ready for the next eclipse as well, which is going to be huge, and we're going to talk about it today. So what's the deal with this astrology, and why am I so excited and wanting to tell you about this? As you guys know, sometimes I focus on special transits as opposed to like a weekly reading or forcing the reading. So I like to read when I think something's happening. So I think something's happening and I want to share it with you guys. And first of all, happy St. Patrick's Day. I like this background. If it's getting boring for anyone, then let me know, but I was going to keep it for today for sure, and probably for a while. I like reading on it. I like the color. It's just subtle, and it's green, so it's not gray, you know. But if you're tired of this and want to change, let me know. I know I used to do elaborate backgrounds. Maybe I will in a bit, but for now, I'll keep it to this. So what's so special about this period of time from March 17th through March 24th? We have a series of very special activations with the sun that will, here we go. We have special activations with the sun that are going to take us through Pisces and into Aries season, and 2 conjunctions in Aries as well. Not all of it I'm going to talk about detail today, but I'll give you guys an overview. I think this is a time of a lot of hope. I'm really loving this astrology. I think this astrology is like, there's massive transition point here. There's several layers of transition. I'm not talking about all of them, but I will talk about this specific part. And I think that it's quite significant and very, very salient, and just really going to affect your way looking forward. So I wanted to kind of do some energy work or talk to you guys about that. I just thought about this. I have this deck. It's not a tarot deck. It's the Art of Love. I like the art. I've never super connected to it, but I do really like it. And its art is featured in other decks as well. The artist is really talented. I'm not an oracle deck person, so it's a good deck. It's just not necessarily my first choice when I read. But I thought I would pick some, because I do really think it's beautiful. And I thought I would pick some energies just to like open up with. So we have the spiral dance of the goddess, the Christ flame. Maybe it's like the titles aren't like from my conceptualization of things, so it doesn't like hit home for me. But it's still beautiful. I like it. So we have becoming. So these are the energies that are around us as the sun makes key positions or key interactions with specifically like the inner transits. That's what's really important here, is that all of these events have a huge influence on your personal astrology as opposed to big ticket or outside world events. And so we have the spiral dance of the goddess. I love these greens. I'm a big fan of green, by the way. And then we have the Christ flame. The Christ flame. And then we have the energy of becoming. And then we have devotion to the small. Okay? So really beautiful energies. I will probably work that in if I feel called to as I'm doing the astrology. But I just thought I would put these down for when we talk about what's going on astrologically. So let's get into it. So one thing that's important to note is a couple days ago, Venus started disappearing in the evening sky, that's right. And so basically it's because she's getting so close to the sun. The position at which Venus disappears is different depending on your location, not just in latitude, but also in like position and elevation. So you may notice that Venus is disappearing in your area from the 15th of March or 16th of March to the maybe 19th or 20th. So we're right in the process of this. And I'll do something separate about Venus in the underworld or Venus retrograde. But for now, let's just acknowledge that she has gone, invisible, or is in the process of becoming invisible, which is very significant. Okay, so we're under a huge energy for St. Patrick's Day. This is going to be the last time this event happens for 20 years, which is the sun is going to join the north node. Now, this is the mean north node from which the true node is calculated. So they calculate the true node from the mean. And so you have the 27-degree conjunction here, which is interesting because 27 degrees is where Venus will actually reemerge when she finishes her underworld phase. So she's going in right now into the underworld, and she will start emerging around the 27th degree of Pisces, where the sun and the north node join. What this means for us, north node is very important. Pisces as a sign is very important. People really reduce the sign to pop astrology. I hate that term. They reduce it to things like, like commercialized and kind of like stereotyped things, such as even like intuition, like, ooh, I'm psychic, those kinds of virtue signals. But Pisces is actually a very deep sign, like I mentioned in the beginning. It has to do with Christ, with Christianity, all the Abrahamic religions. It has to do with religion on whole. It has to do with the encompassing energy that brings us all together, not collective unconscious. I don't want to misrepresent, what we're talking about here. Collective unconscious is like a very specific term for a very specific philosophy. I'm talking about us as a collective in terms of all the humans in Earth here in the present. There's no subtext to this. And so this shared energy is the energy of Pisces and our connection to each other. It's also the connection to what makes us be, and it's a very sacred sign in essence. It's where all life sort of begins. So transits in Pisces are very important. And so the sun and the north node joining in this position, I expect it's a very monumental day for all of us in terms of trying to determine where we are going. And this is the last time for 20 years in which you will experience such insight into where, especially on that spiritual connected level, you are meant to be, regardless of where your north and south node are. And this conjunction is happening, creating a planetary cycle that will be with us for a year. So a lot of these conversations today are going to involve like spiritual awareness and heightened activity. So I bought this a long time ago, and it's an answer feather, and it is from the Monog Native Crafts, handcrafted in Canada. Okay, so I just want to give credit where credit is due. And so this is an answer feather that helps people in guidance. So when we are done the whole session today, I will do the answer feather with you guys. So if you're seeking some kind of answer under this energy, this answer feather provides this. And so supporting First Nations, Native businesses and practices is always really important, and that's a part of like my personal belief in Pisces. The support of Indigenous people and groups is really important to center, because it is an act of truth, which Pisces also represents. So we'll do that at the end after we've done everyone's astrology. But the sun and the north node together represent a way forward, understanding the future possibilities. So it's your ability here is to begin a cycle of self-awareness and where you want to see things grow. So that's one consideration. Then in 2 days, on March 19th, the sun will create a conjunction with Neptune in Pisces at 29th degree. 29th degree is the anaretic degree. And so this is closing out a cycle that's 13 or 12 years long. It's a very long cycle of when Neptune was in Pisces. Okay, now Neptune will come back into Pisces, but by the time the sun returns to Pisces next year, Neptune will be permanently in Aries. So this is the last planetary cycle on March 19th in which the sun joins Neptune in this last degree. So let's unpack what that means a little bit. So we've had 14 cycles since 2012 of the sun and Neptune together. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and as you guys probably have heard me say before, since if you are born, let's say from the 1990s on, or if you were born in the 80s on, you have lived through a very special time period in which the outer planets were in the same sign of their domicile. So let me explain. In 1984, Pluto entered Scorpio, and we had the millennial generation, right? Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. So if you were alive at that time, you were under this influence of Pluto and rulership. You got to see the world this way. And Pluto's orbit is so long, 250 years, that it's rare for a person to have that experience. Not everyone has it. So there's that. And then we had Neptune, right? No, Neptune now. And then at the end of the 90s, we had Uranus enter Aquarius, right? In the 90s, Uranus entered Aquarius and was in Aquarius until the early 2000s. And Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius. So if you were born in the late 90s, early 2000s, or earlier, then you had the experience of seeing the world through Neptune in rulership. So all of the qualities of those times you got to absorb firsthand. And then, last but not least, Neptune entered Pisces in 2011, right? And so when this happened, everyone who's been alive since then has had the opportunity of Neptune in Pisces, which allows us to see this world of creativity. Astrology became very popular. We know all these things have sort of blossomed around us. And as I've told you before, I'm quite sad about this huge time scale but yet we had this great opportunity to really see the world of Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto in rulership. So it's a real blessing. And I think that it's a real alignment that's led us to here and now that I think is really poetic and really beautiful. So the sun joining Neptune marks the last and final planetary cycle of the Sun-Neptune connection of our lifetimes, and it also marks the final solar connection to an outer planet that governs the outside world of our lifetimes, and depending on how old you are will tell you how many different planets you've lived through in these sequences. So I mean, here's a journaling suggestion. Why don't you write, go back to these time periods depending on how old you are, and include maybe Saturn in that, but we all get to see Saturn through all the houses. Well, all of us who are lucky enough to see 29, right? So maybe go back to these different time periods and write about them for like a personal journaling experience in this final phase of Neptune and Pisces, and think about all of it like coming around full circle, because Neptune at 29 degrees is the full circle point. It's reached its destination. Now, we're not out of time yet in this energy. it is going to come back into Pisces for a little bit, but this is the final cycle with the sun. That's really important. So I think it's really, really quite beautiful, and I'm sad about it. It marks the end of a beautiful sequence that most of us got to enjoy and celebrate. So a lot of things are changing around us. This is just another sign of the times, I would say. Okay, so Neptune Sun, March 19th conjunction. And so it's touching upon all these things. Where have you been since 2012? And where have you been since 1984? And like, what was the world like? And Neptune is it's kind of like the closer, you know, like the person who shows up at the concert or rave and is closing out the entire process for us. So we have this closing situation. It's very beautiful. And notice that it's all the sun making all of these interactions, and it's sort of activating this eclipse that's coming up on the 29th of March, because that eclipse will be in Aries. And although Aries is ruled by Mars, the sun is exalted in Aries, right? Okay, so let's see. So we have on the 20th of March, we have the vernal equinox, which is the new year for astrologers, and for many people around the world consider this like the day of initiation. And so the sun moves into Aries on the 20th, and it's really an important one at this time. I'll save some of my comments about this for later, but it's really a huge beginning that is connected to the Aries eclipse, and is connected to Neptune moving into Aries, and then later Saturn moving into Aries. And all of that is working together to where we are going for the next while. And so I think it's a very hopeful thing. I don't want to talk about politics too much, but I think that it's important to recognize that, you know, we've been in this water earth energy, and now we're moving into the fire and air. And so this transit of the sun moving into Aries, which is a fire sign, is symbolic of our real stepping forward. So it's very, very beautiful. Then on the 22nd, we get another activation. This is a more common one, but I think it's important to kind of highlight it. We get a quarter moon in the cardinal signs because the sun is in Aries. And so this is a quarter moon when the moon will be in Capricorn. Something that's very significant about this in light of everything that's going on is that the moon in Capricorn highlights an area of the chart that is connected to the American Revolution and many other historical events. It's also connected to an area of the chart that's connected to the pandemic, right? When we had a significant shift in the balance of power due to this crisis that touched probably everywhere on Earth. And I'm not talking politically, I'm just acknowledging that the quarter moon, the last quarter moon before we have a new moon, it's really significant or symbolic or salient that the moon is in Capricorn, which kind of highlights an area of the sky that sort of triggered the beginning of this. We've been talking about transitions and transformation. It's really true that this transition has happened over the last 5 years. These transitions aren't instantaneous. Now, as a Neptune begins to move into Aries, and some of these other transits are happening right now with the eclipse, you are going to see abrupt things happening. But if you take a look back since 2019, you will see some fundamental accumulation of change, welcoming in the new world and saying goodbye to the old world of water and earth. I do want to say that be careful, because I hear this all the time. People speculate a lot. about what we are stepping into and what we are leaving behind. This happened a lot in the late 19th century. So if you know the late 19th century, the 1890s, a type of spiritual belief system emerged, which was called theosophy, right? And this is where Europeans sought the knowledge and insight of South Asian teachers. There was these two teachers from South Asia that came to Europe, and they popularized it. And it was this kind of, how do I say, I don't want to get political with saying about it, too many things, but essentially Europeans had opened themselves up to ideologies and themes from other parts of the world, and they gobbled it up. They couldn't get enough of it. But when you think of theosophy and this shift in the energy in the late 19th century to the 20th century, you can see that along with the ideological shifts or the spiritual shifts, there was a really specific political, social climate changing. And whereas before there was this really domineering energy coming out of Europe to many other places, the 20th century saw the rise of many different regions and positions in the world, empowering those positions. And so you saw this kind of perspective change where we had the late 19th century with kings and rulers. And then we had bureaucrats in the 20th century and more of a pluralistic view of the world that started to begin. And we're on that trajectory now. So when people, and at that time in the late 19th century, they would speculate what the world would be like. And they were in the midst of all this change between the late 19th century and the First World War. And there was all this speculation about how the world was changing, and yet the world was changing all around them, and spirituality mirrored that experience. So the fact that there's many people talking about lots of, technology-driven rhetoric or this and that, we've seen this at the beginning of the 20th century, late 19th century already, where people had lots of wild assumptions about where we were going and where, how the world was changing. And that was all a part of this larger connection to everything that was happening. So I think a lot what you're seeing online and media right now is really similar to that energy. We are in the midst of change, and lots of people are excited. Lots of people have visions of the world moving forward, and lots of people have their own perspectives about what that's going to be. When we look back to those observations from the late 19th century, that's right, we can see how many were comical, right? Like there's so many, like some of them, but some of them are really funny. But then wisdom is like hindsight is 2020. You can only see it looking back. So none of this is funny. It's just all I'm trying to say is that in some way, no matter what they are saying online or in media, they are articulating the spirit of change that we're under. So whether one of these things actually happens or not, we're in the spirit of change. And so part of this has to do with some people are using their resources to push for change at this time because they're speculating, they're assuming that this is going to go this way. And I think that what you're going to see is that some of these speculations that seem very intimidating, people putting a lot of resources towards very lofty goals. I think you're over 20 or 30 years, we're going to see some of those things actually failing because they're taking assumptions and applying it because they see the spirit of change, they feel it, and so they make wild assumptions about where things will go, and then putting heavy resources behind it. It's kind of like a bad bet. But that's not, if it puts people in harm's way, then I'm not behind it, but also at the same time, what I'm trying to say is that it's part and parcel of like everything that's going on. I have more to say about this. This eclipse on the 29th is really interesting, as was the eclipse on the 14th. Sorry. That's why I still want to write the article on the eclipse that we had in Virgo. I told you guys like a smidge of the things that I found. So I want to keep that because that will feed into the observation of all the eclipses on the Virgo Pisces axis. And so that's still coming. If you're looking out for that, I'm not going to not do it because I think that there's a lot to say about it. But this other eclipse, the one in Aries, is super interesting too. So, it's just very mind-blowing. A lot of this is becoming apparent to us at this time as we are looking at this Sun North Node and Sun Neptune conjunction. We're seeing things, all of us, through dreams, visions, and interacting with information. So I encourage you to open up your mind, open up your heart, see it all, like really step into that energy. So we did the last quarter moon, which was the connection to that pandemic. And I think that moon in that position of Capricorn is in some way triggering us to make the connection of this like bigger picture and the hindsight 2020 for the last 5 years, and then bringing it all together for the eclipse that's coming up in a few days. Okay, so on the 22nd, right after the square, we are going to see a conjunction between Venus retrograde and the Sun. And this is significant. It's going to be really quickly after the square to the moon. And so I'll talk about this more in depth in another video. It has a lot of significance in this position. It has a lot of history and interconnectedness. But this is our new cycle of Venus and the Sun joining together in Aries, and this cycle is going to be with us for 10 months until the next conjunction. So it's a very special, it's a part of the Venus retrograde cycle. In this position, it really kind of pairs really well with the new moon and all this energy flowing into Aries, the eclipse. And so I think it's very synchronistic. And so by the 22nd, we're looking forward. And I'm telling you guys this to be excited. Like, this is energy to be excited about. I know that there's a lot of things in the world that are not going right and they're intimidating, and Aries transits do carry a lot of foreboding or scary things, but we want to also have hope and have vision and have, take what we've learned in Pisces and bring it into Aries. Then on the 24th, this is the last thing that I really wanted to highlight. The Sun will join Mercury retrograde in Aries. So we have not only Venus retrograde in Aries, but we have Mercury retrograde in Aries, and so the Sun will join it on the 24th. So from the 17th, from today, we carry the energy forward all the way into Aries, and this mirrors this flow of energy from Pisces and into Aries. Neptune moving into Aries from Pisces, Saturn. We see the flow, right? These eclipses from the Virgo Pisces axis, and then we have an Aries. So all the energy is flowing into cardinal energy of Aries from Pisces. So a lot is going to happen in your lives, and it's going to happen in the world stage. Mercury retrograde, being retrograde right with Venus retrograde, is also very significant. Just these are personal planets. Not only are they personal planets, they're inner planets. They're in from the earth to the sun. So these are our communication, personal connections. It's very, very alive and very, very abundant. So I know that there's a lot of worry and concern in the world, but I think that considering this energy, especially with the Sun, think of the potential here. The potential here is really awesome. So that's all that I had to say. Oh, 34 minutes. Look at me go. That was really good. So thanks. Let's look at these cards. So we have becoming, devotion to the small. And like, I know that we're getting bombarded, and a lot of people are going through really intense things right now, you know? So I'm not minimizing their experience. There's people in the world that the world has, you know, it's just been very, very intense, right? For lack of a better word. But for you, I want to encourage you to have this kind of vision, like see opportunity now where it comes up, and kind of the spiral dance of the goddess. That's not the words that I would use, but the energy moving between Pisces and Aries, the flow of the energy from the mutable signs into the cardinal, from the feminine into the masculine. Then we have the Christ flame. I don't really resonate with this, but maybe some of you will. Again, no shade to the Christians. And then we have the becoming energy of who we will become. So what I'm saying is, like, I know we're getting really overwhelmed, and some of you guys are in tough situations, you know. So you are getting overwhelmed by these dynamics around us, but I really want to encourage you to like look forward. Just look forward and try to find, you know, your answers there. And not everything has to happen in a black and white way, right? Not everything has to happen like one way only and no other way possible. And so all energies have different gradients, right? And so as different things have gradients, hold on, I don't want to mess this up. Your life also has a gradient. So these energies might bring some challenges, but they'll bring a lot of good also. So be hopeful for the good of the energy. Okay, I'm going to just try to make sure that I get... Okay. No, this is showing the wrong chart. What I'm doing is switching between charts. Hold on one sec. Yeah. Okay, I fixed it. Yay! I'm always scared with switching the charts because if I don't do it correctly, I could dox myself. So I'm like, oh no, I hope I'm not going to dox myself. Okay, so let's do sign by sign. So far, so good. How's the microphone sounding? Is it okay? So I saw someone say rising sign. So do watch for rising signs, but I think it's a pretty big misunderstanding to only watch for rising. I know it kind of looks the same in the chart, but these charts are only representations for a general reading, right? So this is, how do I say this? You know, how do I say this? It's oversimplified. Okay. And so in that oversimplification, you're losing meaning. So making the argument that this is only for rising signs because it kind of looks like your rising sign, especially in certain house systems, is an oversimplification. You should be watching for your sun, moon, rising. It depends on your chart. If this was your natal chart, like just like this, you would definitely want to watch for Pisces and Aries, right? If this is your natal chart because you have so many planets in both, but it's all about like picking and like kind of like taking a look and seeing what works for you and what resonates. Sometimes, especially if you're going through a hard time or something that's difficult, maybe the moon sometimes is the best option because it's the most gentle, or Venus would be gentle. but if you really want like a intense literal answer to something, then the sun or Saturn, even if you really want a truth to be told, watch your Saturn sign to see like the bare bones information. If you are brave. Okay, so let's do sign by sign. And I have cards so you guys don't have to keep order. Watch sun, moon, and rising. And then I will do the answer feather with you guys. I'll explain it at the end. So this is in light of this whole energy of enlightenment. It's the sequence of the sun in these positions and having this series of interactions is really beautiful. And the other thing about the astrology is like, yes, there's other aspects that are forming, but they're not like intense aspects. They're like, how do you say this? They're there. There's always some kind of aspect that is forming. But the solar aspects, it's like the sun is kind of like walking into a room and being like, okay, guys, I'm here. And everybody gets quiet. And the sun is like, you North Node, and then you Neptune, and then I'll enter Aries, and you Moon and Capricorn, I'll square you to talk about the last 5 years. And then I'll meet with Venus, and then I'll meet with Mercury. So it's like the sun for the next 7 days is calling the shots. So I hope it's taking care of us. And in light of that eclipse that's coming, it's kind of giving us an insight of where we are going, and it's kind of preparing us for the good and the bad. Okay, so let's do the astrology for each sign. Okay, so I have Scorpio first. Let's take a look at this energy. I really like the picking of the cards first, so I'm sorry if you have another preference, but it just flows. I tried to do it the other way, but it doesn't flow right for me. So we'll do 4 cards for Scorpio. Okay, so we have the Knight of Swords, Page of Swords, sorry. And then we have the High Priestess. And then we have the Fool. And then we have the Four of Cups. Okay, very nice card, Scorpio. Nothing bad. So overall, as a pattern for this energy, and I'm going to be very careful with how I define it, because this is such a karmic moment. I hate that word. Like, I like karma in respect to South Asian tradition, but I think that it's misused and misrepresented. I think it's a dog whistle, to be honest, especially by like Westerners, talking about it. And I'm not commenting on South Asian tradition. But anyway, so the karma is the implication of this energy, is so salient with your future. And like, these are big time cycles. Like Neptune, this is your last Neptune solar conjunction for the rest of your life, unless we make humans 2.0 and we live past 150 years. So this is very, very significant, like last moment to get this all in. And so I think that I think that the energy now is so sacred that I don't want to impose on you my prejudices or blind spots. So listen, I'm going to speak as broadly or as, openly as possible. But as you're listening to this, also please kind of make it for yourself, because it's you listening to the sky. You're you listening to the world. Okay. So for Scorpio, the pattern that I'm seeing with all of these series of activations is in some way coming to terms with relationships, especially romantic relationships in your life. Now you're going to see this flow out in your life for the next year in many ways, but this is the final cycle of those observations. Those observations go back in your life for a very long time. And this does not mean that you will not have other relationships moving forward. But I think many Scorpio type people will decenter their relationships moving forward and take much more solitary journeys. This does not mean that you're going to break up with someone. You may be breaking up with someone or be single for the rest of your life. But I think that what I'm seeing as this trajectory is this shift towards autonomy and kind of like more focus on the things that you do. Now, this card in some way, I know Scorpio is a water sign, so some of you may not want to hear this. Everybody wants love and all of these things. But the great saying about that is, if it's love that is going to hurt you, it's better to be alone, right? So it's not necessarily about rejecting love, but rejecting the wrong types of love or the wrong types of situations. I sense that you're tired from fighting lots of different battles. You're tired of fighting and arguing maybe with your significant other or other people in your life. And I think that many of you are also experiencing powerful insights into your life about what it's meant to be. The Fool signals a new beginning. We have lots of new beginnings that are happening here with the new moon and the Aries, the equinox, and the Aries season. And so, so I think that the beginning is clear for you. It does signify here crossed arms. Maybe you're not fully ready for it yet. But like I said, that pattern with the North Node and specifically Neptune, it will still play out for the next year. The planetary cycle in Pisces will play out. So it's a ripple out effect. So whatever's going on for you in terms of relationships, the next year is when it all will unfold this way for you. So all those lessons from Neptune that you had from the previous 12 years, now you're going to see the outflow of it and come to your conclusions. Nothing's going to be against your will. Everything is going to be by your own choice or decision. Okay? So here is the next message. Okay, so we have Pisces next. Ooh, we're hitting the water signs right off the bat. Okay, so let's look at Pisces together. Getting weird this early on. I get weird when I read Pisces. Either this is a massive activation or the water signs are here. It's just like, okay. So we have the Hermit, which is Virgo. Of course, for Pisces, this is significant because of that eclipse in Virgo we just had. So for many of you, this triggered partnerships and relationship dynamics. And then we have the Queen of Wands. Yeah, money for Pisces is a huge pattern. So when I look at this, I see this, right? The second house activated. Very assertive financial future. And this is like, Neptune's ingress into Aries, but there's a huge series of patterns affecting Aries at this time. And we've just had the North Node in Aries. So you're about to have, a massive sequence there. Then we have the Fool. Okay, so lots of Fool. And I suspect it's going to show up again and again and again, because that's what we're talking about. The new year, very significant new year, new seasons. Okay, so Pisces. So I already mentioned what I see very clear. Yours is very literal. It's very like upfront. It's not beating around the bush at all in terms of energy. You have gone through significant inner journeying. Just like with Scorpio, that will continue. The influence of this will continue for the next year. And you will have another North Node Sun conjunction next year with the Sun. So you'll get 2 cycles of the North Node in your first house. I think Yeah, I think so. Because the North Node, it's about a year and a half. So I think you get 2 in, so you're lucky. And so that pattern of self-awareness and self-reflection is still there. But the Neptune is gone. So especially that comment how I made about Neptune being in rulership in Pisces. Savor this time of Neptune and Pisces. Your ruler is in your whatever sign you're watching for. And so it's really empowering. It's very like in touch with who you are. Do as much soul-centered, self-centered activity. But what I see moving forward for you is very literal. It's money. It's money opportunities, you know, taking life by the horns and going for things that you want, having the confidence to go after the things you want, to reach the destinations that you are seeking. I think that a lot of this, so remember that square that I mentioned with the moon, that's in your 11th house. And so what that's kind of signaling to me, degrees of disappointment with friends and social connections up until this point, which actually lead you into making certain conclusions about life. They're different for everyone, but I think that you're probably seeking more autonomy. And now you're just like, enough is enough. I'm going to take care of me, and I'm going to get the resources that I want for me to take my life to new directions. So pay attention, especially to the transits in Aries that I mentioned. I think you should all be watching all of these transits. I think this whole week is sacred. I should recall this the sacred week. I think so. I think it's beautiful. I wasn't going to make this video, and then I just sat there and I was like, so taken aback. Like, this kind of astrology is so salient. It's so abundant. It's so just beautiful. So if you're Pisces placements, watch the inferior conjunction with Venus. Watch the inferior conjunction with Mercury. Watch the equinox. Pay attention to all of it. It's all coming to you. And so this is your time to cast out your nets. Take your new beginnings with financial things. Look at this. Somebody might be coming your way with financial opportunities. So this is the time to be ambitious, you know? So be ambitious. And, you know, with Venus and Mercury retrograde, there's an air of reflection on where you've gone wrong in the past, and that's okay. But let that be a motivation for you. Let that be a motivation of where you want to see things go, you know, and how you want to proceed. So, okay, so here is the next message. We have Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, so Sun, Moon, and Rising in Leo. Okay, Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising. Hi, guys. When I repeat Sun, Moon, Rising, I'm locking in on the energy. So that's why I repeat. It's like it centers me on your sign. Sun, Moon, Rising, Leo. Let's see. So we have the Hermit as well. Okay. Maybe this is pointing to this eclipse. For you, the eclipse was in the 2nd house, Leo. And then we have the Ace of Swords. Very important communication. I think that you're becoming more autonomous too. And then we have the 4 of Wands. I think you're becoming more autonomous and more just you're turning your back on something in a big way. This isn't, look at this fool. Like, you saw me. I'm not, bleh. I'm not like, some people are very meticulous. I'm like I'm not a great shuffler. I'll own that. But just figure. So we have 3 for 3 Fool. Look at this. And we're getting ready for the eclipse, that new moon eclipse. There's so much to say about that eclipse, but I'll save that for a different talk point. I find that sometimes I bombard you with so much information that it gets lost it's just too dense. Like, it would be even too dense if I listened to myself. So anyway, so we'll keep that information for the Aries, but definitely like new patterns and new beginnings. Now for Leos in this part of the chart here, I see definitely a separation from the past. To me, I'm getting something like old beliefs, old customs, old like family members that are close to you, people who you may have shared resources with in the past. You're leaving that behind and charting a new path forward. There may be very critical communication between yourself and others that facilitates this, which means that people contact you or you contact them, you have a conversation, and something is said that is going to make it very clear, you make a very powerful decision, or something is said. This does not mean that there is conflict. It's just a coming to terms and communication about things that is decisive. We have Four of Wands, so if you're worried like, I'm going to be a lonely baloney or something like that. No, I don't think so. You have the Four of Wands, which is the marriage card. And so this is actually suggesting happiness and togetherness with the people that you love. What I think that this is showing up as is breaking away from tradition. So family customs, not necessarily ditching it all together, but maybe separating yourself a little bit. And definitely going your own way. The emphasis here in Aries is your mind, right? Your thoughts and ideas. Open yourself to different cultures, different types of people. Just be really open to what the world is bringing to you, the information, the opportunities that are there. It's a mind expansion moment for Leos. It's not fast. Like, it's happening fast with the eclipse, but it's also... this is the status quo moving forward. So whatever's coming to you now, you should know that this is where we're going anyway. So we have the Fool, which is marking the new beginning. This is huge new beginning, societal change, possibly, maybe for everyone. But, you know, we are in the midst of change. And in the midst of change, and I've studied these things at school and like other subjects, it is true, like in the late 19th century, people believe like they were on the precipice of change. It did change a huge way, but like also at the same time, I don't want to minimize the suffering, but it just happened. And I think that the anticipation of change sometimes is more frightening than as it's happening or even as it's done. That's not the correct way to articulate it, but essentially it is coming, and it's not going to be all bad, and it's going to bring opportunities and is going to empower you towards something greater. It's fixing problems at the same time. Even if those problems that are emerging seem daunting or, you know, scary that people are going these ways, we have to still believe in the collective spirit to check and balance those energies, right? So for when people act in an unhinged way, there is a pattern in history of people saying, oh, no, you don't. Unfortunately, sometimes that takes too long. But I do think that no matter what your situation, that's where we are heading in general. So yeah, people can do a lot of damage as they're asserting their power in your personal or in other situations. So that's not something to be underestimated. But at the same time, if you're really worried about the end of the world and stuff like that, remember that typically in history, what's happened is people have shut down inappropriate behavior sooner or later. You know, even if for self-interest, sometimes it's not for some, beneficial or positive reason. Sometimes it's just other grifters stealing from each other, right? Like in Rome, for example, you could see grifter upon grifter just passing the baton. But it does change, and usually it comes from criticizing the shortcomings, right? Which elevates the mass on whole. So hopefully, I'm hopeful that amid all this mess will come something positive. Okay, so next we have Aries. Hi, Aries. So you guys really want to watch the beginning. Aries is so blessed to have this chart. And happy birthday to the Aries suns. We are starting your season. And I was just thinking, I was talking about how the equinox begins when Aries season begins. It's kind of like Capricorns who have to have their birthday, Capricorn suns who have their birthday around the same time as when the sun, the winter solstice. See, I've de-Christianized my entire worldview when it's Christmas, right? So you have to share your birthdays with Christmas. And Aquarians? Yeah, or Pisces. It's Valentine's Day on Pisces or Aquarius season. I think it's Aquarius season. So you have to share it with Valentine's Day, and Aries people have to share their birthdays with the equinox, which is nice, but you get overshadowed. But on the other hand, you get centered in all the astrology, because you can watch anybody do astrology anywhere for a general collective message, and that's a personalized message for your Aries transits. Pretty lucky, if you ask me. That in itself makes Aries so lucky. Okay, so let's pull some cards. I got excited, sorry. So we have the 10 of Swords. So you're leaving 12th house stuff can feel very heavy. 12th house darkness, heaviness, the past 12 years may have felt, intense. 4 of Cups. So nobody thinks I'm picking cards, like, what should I show them today? No, hold on. I forget and I just sit cross-legged and pick whatever I pick. Okay. So then we have the 4 of Swords, rest. So yeah, and for you, definitely for you and Pisces, because the energy is so centralized in your signs, rest is very important. So something's coming in with a message, an important message. You're not wanting to hear I think you're tired. This is coming. There's different types of tired. This is a 12 years tiredness. And it's not all bad. It's just Neptune's finishing up its long transit in Pisces. And so it's cathartic. And with that catharsis comes tiredness. So definitely a sense of tiredness. There's things in your past that are dark, that are heavy, that you keep on leaving behind. These are the last cycles, like I said, with the sun, and Neptune is this year, and then we get 2 cycles with the North Node in Pisces. So you're going to see the outcomes come out of those 2 planetary cycles over the next 2 years. So you get that long cathartic moment, but it's very much a ebbing out, so it's more of a reflective energy than initiation. Although the Neptune pattern will have significant events show up in your life that have to do with that cycle of the last 12 years. So whatever that theme is in your life, it probably has to do with the house position or other transits in your chart. So you're still working through that, but it's a cathartic sort of energy where you're coming to terms with it, or giving an answer, or doing what you wish you would have, in those contexts. Lots of rest, lots of change. This is almost like it gives me the energy of safety, It gives me the energy of you're feeling safe. And when people go through difficult moments, or animals, they go through a difficult moment and they're finally can feel safe. This is what this is giving me. So like you felt, dislodged or in some way shaken by the world. Or maybe there's you're defiant in some way. This is just crossing your arms and maybe not giving things a fair opportunity. I think it's happening because you're tired and you're shutting down. And so I think that the Aries transit symbolize for you safety, because the energy has come your way. So I think that with it will come a significant amount of rest, but there is some kind of messenger that's coming your way, an air sign, Gemini, Aquarius, Libra sometimes, but the main part is that somebody's bringing you some kind of message. Okay, Aries. So we'll be here to talk. You're going to be the center of the stage for the next 30 days. So there's a lot to say about Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, the eclipse. So we'll have more for you on that. Let's see the next sign. Okay, so we have Gemini next, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Hey, Gemini. So all the mutable signs are sort of, the energy is interesting for them because the energy is shifting from mutable into cardinal. So you're shifting from an energy that centered you a lot, and you still have a lot to explore here in your 10th house in the mutable energy. But I think that overall it shifts the focus for you on the group, on the other, on being with people. So you're going to see a lot more focus on your relationships with other people as this energy moves into Aries. So you're already probably getting socially connected, or there's social activity around you, and that's only going to increase as Aries season continues and we have the eclipse there. But again, this is just the foothills of a long transit, so you're just seeing the beginning. I just want you to look for those opportunities when you're here. Okay, so but career stuff is still going to be engulfing. Engulfing, by that I mean, I feel like you're going to have, one sec. So we have the star. Engulfing means, and then we have the 6 of Cups. And then we have the Ace of Cups. Look at Geminis. You're on fire. And then, oh, look at this, Gemini. Love and connection and joy and happiness and change. Some of you might move from far away for love. That's with Pluto. I know this is a tangent, but it's a tangent from this energy that we're talking about here. But the cards are saying, Gemini, wow, all for love, faded moments, happiness, abundance, changing of residence, changing of workplaces, just change and connection with people you love, which is the 6 of Cups. This is the cutest 6 of Cups ever. A little krasnoludek. Okay, so you have good cards, the best ones so far. Congratulations, Gemini. And so, okay, so let me think. So when I'm looking at these transits for you, I was trying to think of what I wanted to say because I got pretty intense messages for you from the beginning. With these conjunctions with the North Node and Neptune, I would pay pretty heavy attention to them, Gemini. I think that in your career or whatever you do for work, there continues to be a heaviness there, lots of work, lots of responsibilities. You're dealing with difficult, not in a negative sense necessarily, but challenging or intense workplace dynamics that feel bogged down. Like there's a lot of workplace muddiness that you're connected with. And so you want to have balance between work and your private life and your social life, but you still have to weather these work dynamics finding their balance. So I do think that there's all these new beginnings. I think it has to do with Aries. But I think that there's still a 1 to 2 year period in which at first it will feel as though you want to do things, but you can't because of work, and work is complicated and overly complicates your life. That's one one part of it. But as you continue, you will resolve those problems and find different ways of managing this. And that's going to free you up, and you're going to step into the Aries energy. The Aquarian, Pluto, all the transits in Aries are very well aligned for you, very well. Plus you have Jupiter here. So one of the things, I leave Sedna on, she's going to be here for a long time in your chart, Gemini. Really focus on having a clear mind. As you fumble around with all of these things, that workplaces that maybe come in conflict with you for a little bit, the best advice that I can give you is make sure that your mind is clear. Just clarity of mind should be your top priority. With Sedna here, it's going to create storms in the mind for you a lot. And especially now, she is going to trine Pluto in your 9th house for a long time to come. So this is a lot of preventative. Imagine just basically a storm on the horizon of your mind, and proper self-care of the mind, which includes how you think about things and what kind of thoughts and ideas you bring in, will greatly help you manage the storms when they come, but also fend off storms if they're unnecessary, or if they're how do I say this, not to be entertained in some way. Okay, so Sedna in your 1st house is huge. It's going to be there for a very long time. And I think that the primary focus, it's my comment, it has to do with your career. Okay, with your career, I just see enmeshment of some kind, connection with people that they're not necessarily affecting you directly. Well, they are, but they have their own lives, their own flow, their own experiences. It's feeling claustrophobic, It's feeling like too uncomfortable. And so, but there's nothing you can do about it. Changing a job won't help. It's just the sign of the times with these transits here and here. And so as these things work themselves through, you will find new solutions, new outcomes, new outcomes, new. Okay, so some of you will change work, but it's just breaking the path and being very patient with the environment. The environment, I very clearly don't feel is directed at you. I feel like your impression of your workplace is kind of side-eyeing it. It's either like you're just playing along, or it just feels, it does not feel right. It feels bogged down, and you're eager to find a better solution, but you're patient for now. And I think that that's the proper way to face this energy. Okay, so next sign. We have the Sagittarius next, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Hey, Sag. Okay, so Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We have your 4th and 5th house activated. Well, Sagittarius, listen, in my previous video, it's only for members, but let me summarize it. Someone on Threads said that nobody says anything about Sagittarians, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's one of my favorite signs because you're so happy and so optimistic, and just, it's a nice sign. And ever since then, I've been getting like these messages or downloads about, I don't know who it is, it's not someone I know, and it's not one person specifically, but it's like just like a really happy energy full of smiles. And it's nondescript, but when I have this vision, it's Sagittarius. All I know is that it's Sagittarius. It's not like a specific person or race or like nothing, gender. It's none of these things. All I get is like a wide smile, joy, and happiness of the heart. Okay, so your energy is really coming through as joyful right now. And I have a feeling, a part of this download, this intuitive feeling, is that it's going to be around for a while. So it really feels, and when I'm looking at this chart, that's what it looks like to me. Like the pattern is shifting from like heavy, intense topics, family, to love and abundance, and the fifth house, which is maybe the best one to have all this happen to. So if you have this in your fifth house, it just looks very, very joyful and optimistic. So there you go, Sagittarians. If you're feeling a little down, like nobody recognizes you, I recognize you, and I have good news about your astrology in general. It's coming through very strong. And you know, I don't make predictions very much like active, like super aggressively. I'm very careful to not blow smoke up people and just, you know, promise them things that I'm not actually perceiving. But the thing is, in this case, I do, like I said, these downloads or visions, or I just get this really good perspective about this. Look at your I'm not fake pulling cards. Look at your cards. They're really good. Yeah, very abundant and very joyful. Very much like a new beginning. A little bit of delay. We asked for too much. That's Neptune, though. I'm surprised this hasn't shown up too much. The Hanged Man is ruled by Neptune. So delays, like things not happening as fast as you want them to be. But what we have is, I really feel as though, which other sign? Some other sign, there was this feeling that they were going somewhere. It also feels like you're changing your environment. Also, communication about love, romance. Romance is the theme for you for the next foreseeable future, 10 years. So like love, romance, and joyful. It's not always going to be perfect love, and there may be illusion and delusion because it's Neptune, but a little delusion's fun, you know. But even in circumstances where love sort of fails you or it's not working out, there'll be other things, like you'll move, like happy-go-lucky. You're gonna go and, you know, go see like Mexico, or like go, you know, travel, see the world, or, you know, just change of pace, or not necessarily even travel, but like if a personal relationship fails you, then you will find fulfillment elsewhere. So I see this energy coming through for you in a big way. There could be a message in these cards themselves that somebody is sending to you, a text message, or telling you something that's important. Somebody could be telling you something where you are about to travel really far, you know, that will require you to move, an offer from far away. Your world is broadening, Sagittarius. It's going really from like a, you know, a cloudy day to a bright sunny day. You're shifting. Having these transits here, especially like Neptune and this eclipse in the fifth house, it's just suddenly new levels of joy are possible. So we'll talk about that more on the eclipse video, but it's a really fortunate shift for you. What I think you're leaving behind are like some of these dynamics that are fading away. That has to do with the bogginess of family relationships. So like harsh things that may have happened, or heavy, like, how do I say this? I get like the image of like dragging your feet, people dragging their feet on purpose to slow, like wishing that someone could have the ability to like, wishing that someone could have the ability to match the same pace, but them being unwilling to get over themselves in like a gloomy way almost. So there's a little bit of disappointment, like, and you hanging back to be with that energy, and that energy slowing you down. So it's like it's your choice, or it has been your choice in terms of where you've been, but it's also had a negative influence on you and your quality of life. So I think what this shift is talking about is that quality of life greatly improving, but there's still going to be certain delays. Remember, the planetary cycles with the North Node and Neptune are a year, 2 years. Well, 1 year, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years with the North Node. So, but it's going to be that North Node planetary cycle. So the Neptune that we're having tomorrow or the next day, the North Node one from today is really about finding solutions. So it's not going to be like it continues for 2 years. It's going to be more like you're dealing with it for 2 years to some varying degrees. Okay. But yeah, definitely opening the door to something good. And just be optimistic, and it's finally your time to kind of have more of that up energy. Okay, so we have halfway through. Let's see the next sign. I hope you guys are having fun. Make sure to give me a like, and if you're watching, provided nothing breaks down, I'm going to keep this public for everyone to watch. And at the end of all this, we're going to do an answer feather. And an answer feather will answer your important questions in your mind. So stick around and we'll do it together. And hopefully under this energy, we'll find some important answers in the next. It has a quick answer. Its turnaround is 24 hours, I think. So it's pretty. I'm taking a bit of a break from the reading to tell you about this. That's all I'm saying. Sometimes I decompress by talking about this and that. Hold on. Well, I know that I don't know where I read this. Oh, within the next day. That's right. So within 24 hours, you'll have an answer, which is perfect for this syzygy of the North Node and the Sun and Neptune. Next sign, Virgo. Hey, Virgos. Hey, girl. Hey, let's do it. Virgo. I'm loving this energy. Can you tell? I'm really, really liking the shift. For Virgos, we're switching out of earth, water into fire and air. So if you're Virgo dominant, this is taking energy out of your sphere. Virgos in general are, you can see there's not much in the chart. There won't be much going on in our chart until Jupiter gets his butt over here. So it's going to be a minute before we have any significant action. Well, the South Node this year, but womp womp. Psychology. You know? Okay, so, okay, carry on. So Virgo, let's see. We have the 9. I'm trying to keep optimistic. I'm scared the cards are going to be mean. Okay, 9 of Wands. Let's do it quick before 3 of Pentacles. Work. Sounds like a Virgo. Nobody else got it, but here you go. And then we have, oh, good. 10 of Cups. So you get some happiness and fulfillment. Yay. It's coming. I tell you, it's coming. And then we have, what else we have? Okay, King of Wands. Okay. You are appreciated, Virgo. Wow. Look at all this appreciation. You're so appreciated. Okay, so let's talk about the Saturn is a rough beast in the 7th house, right? We know this. It's a taskmaster. Sun-Saturn conjunction just happened a couple days ago, right? Like on the 10th or the 11th or something. But Saturn is a taskmaster. It's not necessarily easy in the 7th house, not because it does something cruel to you, but because it's flushing out all the fallacies that you're living with, that you're either not seeing or refusing to see. Fallacies in your relationships, things that are, if you're around people that are hurting you or hurtful to you, it's going to push them out of your life. Some of these things are going to be very hard to accept. Some of them are going to be just like hard life lessons. And so therefore, Saturn's transit in Pisces in your 7th house isn't easy. Isn't it interesting that Virgos last house is Pisces, which is essentially the last sign of the zodiac. It's almost like at the end of the day for Virgos, relationships matter most. And, Virgo is associated with care and service. And that care and service comes from that care and service comes from wanting a satisfaction of personal relationships. So it's almost like the focus for Virgo is the 7th house, this partnership and this connection. And so some of these hard lessons of Neptune and Saturn and the North Node now may be in some way actually healing deep relationship wounds or fixing your life of debris that shouldn't be there. So there's this delayed response. With Neptune, it's been a long time. It's been 10 years, right? You have this long-ass trend of Neptune, in your relationship houses can be quite problematic. Saturn is bad because it just kind of with the scythe, it kind of cuts things out and just leaves things, and finishes things. But also Neptune, and it has a longer transit, so it's even a harder taskmaster for people. So this Neptune in the 7th house can lead to confusion, misdirection in relationships. You think someone's one way and then they are another. And so the conjunction with the sun tomorrow or the next day on the 19th is going to be in some way the last cycle of this. And you're now sort of the experienced one in these topics. So you will be experiencing these aspects of relationships, but you're going to be calling them out, and you are going to be protecting yourself and finding peace and finding space in your relationships. But yeah, it's probably bogged you down in relationships for a long time. And so now it's almost like the cleverness has grown in you to be able to manage all these things. So as Saturn and Neptune enter Aries, you get very good at, cutting people off and cutting things out, and also bringing focus to your craft and your skills. So it's just the 3 of Pentacles. So it's there's a little bit, what I get from this card is that there's a little bit of seeking autonomy or separation, segregation, and feeling that's taking too long. That's why I talked about Neptune. It feels as though it's taken too long, or you wish, you were there already. But I do feel as though it is going to be rewarded. This is somebody's regard for you is high. Somebody has a high regard for you, and that leads to happiness and joy. And these things are very positive. Virgos, for some of you, the energy here in the 8th house, especially with a King of Wands, could signify very powerful opportunities in career or collaboration with other people. So there's this, you're in your grind. I would call this the grind, holding back from temptation, doing what you have to. But here you have admiration, joy, respect, and that's the Aries-like energy more that's coming in. So you're entering the pattern of, I think you've been bogged down in relationships, which prompted you to be more withdrawn within your own space and learning to focus on you. And I think the shift overall is towards being appreciated. I think it's been such a long time for you that now it almost feels like a real flip of the switch, very different energy coming in. So I think many of you are going to be surprised by how forthcoming the energy will be in an optimistic, positive way, encouraging, celebratory of your effort, but really still keep in mind the things you have learned. The 3 of Pentacles, I think, is resonant for me in this, is you have to really, really focus on, the lesson here is yourself. Stop shifting focus onto other people, which is the Saturn, how happy other people are in your life, and get down to business and take care of yourself. And so as you're doing that process, you're being beheld by someone. It could be a man or a woman, and they have admiration and joy and love for you. There's a lot of love flowing from that energy. So yeah, it's good to have friends, it's good to have people who hold you in high regard. So it's been a long haul, but you've achieved a position in which someone or maybe several people have esteem for you. And that's very important when people, value, when you are of value to people. And that's essentially, you have to sometimes put your foot down, but that's essentially what you want, which is the Libra's next. That's what you want, Libra. Okay, so let's see. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Hello, Libras. What do I have to say for Libras? No more eclipses in Libra. Hey, girl, hey. Okay, not for a while. How was that? You're like a new, when they and I'm not calling anyone a dog, but when you have a really hairy dog, you take them to the groomer and they come out like in really good shape. That's what I feel like the South Node transit through Libra means. It's like you've been through the groomer and now you look like a fresh cut dog. A dog. That's a compliment though. So I love dogs. They're so great. Okay, so let's see the next energy. So we have the Devil. Ooh, Mr. Devil. We have a quarter moon in Capricorn. I see that hit you hard. I feel like Libras have been going through things under their skin, like from family things. Then you have the Queen of Pentacles. Someone materialistic around you. Someone wants money, or there's material conflict. Then we have the Ace of Wands. Okay, material conflict. And then we have the Three of Pentacles. Okay, so the cards are telling me messages faster than the astrology is. So let me tell you something. Drop any material conflict with people. It seems as though there's someone who's materialistic around you, or you are feeling defensive materially, and there's a lot of toxicity in that interaction. I'm not saying who or what, it's going to be different for different people, but it seems like it's encompassing, it wastes your time, and it's not good for you. It also coincides with all of these transits in your 6th house, so it probably points to a pattern in your life for 12 years. So rather than, I feel very strongly, this is intuitive, that you get anxiety about this, that there's anxiety and there's toxicity and it bogs you down, and maybe both of you are engaging in problematic behavior, but I really strongly feel like there's a push power play between people for money, specifically money. It could be at work, it could be in your family, it could be between you and a daughter. If you have a daughter, you and your mother, there could be like aesthetic competition of some kind. There's some kind of aggressive competition, possibly another woman. If you're a woman, if you're a man, there could be, it feels feminine. So whatever, it could be either or, it doesn't matter that way. But the key signature here is that there's a toxicity in that relationship. There's a toxicity in the interaction. It causes you anxiety. And I'm not calling anybody out, but it does seem as though that person has engaged, like the Libra has engaged in problematic behavior as well. So there's like a guilt. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying that there's a sense of guilt for that conduct, and it pulls you into the interaction. So this is largely being left behind, and it's got to do with striving for material security and feeling that somebody else is in your way. and that getting all jumbled up in an interaction. So it's toxic, it's not healthy, it's in the past and you're leaving it behind. That's what I think this dynamic is. But I think that you find this like autonomy, Ace of Wands, right? Autonomy and the Three of Pentacles, things to celebrate about yourself and things to, you know, embrace, so that you are, it's a focus on me. It's a focus on you. It's a focus on you, me in the first person, and in some way celebrating yourself. And I feel as though this is something you already do, such as a skill or something you have an interest in already. But I do feel as though there's a push in that direction, really leaving the past in the past and embarking upon asserting your skill or interest, or you know, whatever it is, to graft out for you like success or celebrations. Three of Pentacles, abundance, very, very abundant oriented energy. So I think that for you, this shift, this is coming through as a 6th house thing. This energy feels very helpless, like you were in a situation in which you were helpless. Maybe you did something in the past and then you felt as though it was haunting you and you couldn't get rid of the situation because of your own actions. It feels like that. And I'm being very like sincere in that, not in a harmful way. I'm saying that there's an attachment to this situation in which you may have voluntarily but inadvertently become complicit to it, and then it's almost like rolling down the hill. It sort of picks up momentum and speed as you roll down the hill, and you can't necessarily stop. So there's a helplessness feeling there. And in that helplessness, maybe there's a sense of regrettableness, like if I did things the way that I think now, I wouldn't have done it that way. So I do feel very strongly that like there was a situation that gave you anxiety. Let's just leave it at that. And so now that situation, you're moving past it, or it's over. It's not a problem anymore. And there's this like renewed focus. Ace of Wands is the fire Aries energy, new beginnings, maybe a new job celebrated for your skills, maybe it's a life lesson about drama, you know, and cutting out the drama and focusing on the things that matter. And there's this really uncomfortable feeling that I'm getting about the past that probably informs your current decisions or So good luck with that. It's looking really good. And we'll see way more for you in terms of relationships and partnerships moving forward. But for now, really focus on your skill and your abilities. First person, kind of focus on yourself and celebrate yourself through your abilities, right? Okay. Whew. This energy, I was so stoked. Oh. Do we have like a... Hello. Hi, everyone. Okay. So let's go next message. So we have Aquarius next. Hey, Aquarians. There we go. Aquarius is in the room. Okay, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's talk about this. Well, you have Pluto, so let me know in the comments how Pluto's been to you since it's entered your first house. Now, you've had it there for a while now, so you're an expert. How does it feel? I have a feeling that here's a message, an intuitive message for Aquarians to do with Pluto, not necessarily with this, but I think there's a sense that you've been ahead of the game for a while, and now you're really feeling it, and you're starting to see in what capacity you're such a forward thinker. So whatever you do, whatever your life is all about, there's been a nagging sensation for a while that there's a disconnect from your environment. And now as Pluto's entered Aquarius, I feel like you're seeing other people and like the whole game, the whole situation around you, work or friendship, love. Now you're starting to really see what you are ahead. It's almost like seeing the trail and you're ahead of everyone else in the trail. You're starting to see what the trail is all about. So you're starting to understand your predicament of, I think you were before very doubtful of yourself. And now as Pluto's entered Aquarius, you were doubting whether or not what you were perceiving. You're second guessing yourself. And as Pluto has entered Aquarius, I feel as though like you understand what that vision is all about. Okay, so let's see the next message. We have the 7 of Swords. And then we have the Moon. And then we have the Hanged Man. And then we have the King of Cups. Woohoo! Look at this. So this isn't the most like happy-go-lucky reading, but it's okay, and it turns out well. So I'll give you this. So first of all, you're going to find someone near you who's going to prove to be very nice. So that is that 3rd house in Aries. I feel as though lots of talks, lots of chats, lots of friendship, someone who's dependable, somebody who's trustworthy, someone who has positive feelings towards you. What I see here is a lot of trying to get out of the way of things in relation to other people. I feel like maybe money has gotten in the way of some of your relationships. Conflicts of interest with people over financial matters, where you see them acting in a way that undermines your relationship, such as betrayal. Like, how could you do this to me over money? You know, why would you do this to me over money, kind of thing. It feels alienating. It feels lonely. It feels alone. It feels like there's deception and you just want to get away from it, which is the Moon. So it really seems like the end of these transits in the 2nd house feel very unfair, for one thing. If it's not unfairness, then it's some other feeling of isolation. Like someone made decisions that left you isolated, or you had to make a decision because of how you saw the situation being not good for you. And it involves money and it involves delays. Now remember, it's not the end of the story here yet. We have still a whole year of Neptune Sun planetary cycle until next year. And then we have 2 cycles of North Node and Sun in Pisces. So this is not the end of the story. And you are going to see that all play out up to 2 years from now. And some of the core issues, if you're feeling like left out in the cold right now, some of those core issues are going to resolve in the next year. And there will be some final cathartic moments in the following year after that. So it's a long-term thing. It looks very complicated. It makes you question your friendships and relationships. And so this is, I feel like you're getting someone who's gone through their growing. They've grown into themselves, and they're very kind and loving and supportive, and they have your back. So there's a really positive energy here of friendship. It could be a romance for some of you. It could be a man or a woman. My readings are not gender specific. By the way, this is something I'll announce more formally, but I'll just say this because Aquarius is the androgyny sign. Because of the politics that are happening around the world, I am actively going to change my vocabulary to refer to everyone as a they. It's because of some of the politics, and I'm not being super political, but I'm going to make this announcement, and I'm going to make this announcement later, but maybe you guys can give me your feedback. Like, I'm cisgendered, you know, and all this, but I find it very fundamental logic things hit me a particular way, like things that I find very important are like the fundamental things that have to be met in society so that all is fair between human beings. And the fact that there have been certain decisions and propaganda and media made that completely erases a group of people infuriates me. So in order to level the playing field for everyone, Saturn, in order to level the playing field for everyone and be respectful of everyone and inclusive, my solution that I figured out for me, this doesn't have to be for anyone else, but is to refer to everyone as a they. Everyone's a they. So if you're a female, so I'll explain this all like in future readings. But since I forgot to mention this many times, and I've been practicing because I'm so ritualistic to refer to people as a she or a he. It's a political statement, but it's also, I feel like, respectful and mindful of the people who have been affected by the current political climate. So now everybody's a they, nobody gets gender, and you guys can fill in the blank if you need to, but like that's how I'm going to refer to tarot cards and astrology. Maybe in astrology because it's so rooted in gendered language. Sometimes I'll make references, but overall, when I say it will always be they, and I'm still learning to always use that because it's so ingrained to speak in a gendered way. So, you know, if I was speaking Polish, it would be really hard because Polish, like French, is gendered. So, you know, it just becomes like very difficult to, the conjugation's gendered, but fortunately in English it's not. So it'll be a simple slip of the tongue to they. So this is a they, anyone, male, female, or a they. And so this is a wonderful person who's with you amid this on an emotional, supportive way to you. So this is a good friend, someone to trust. Yes, this situation's going on and there's a little bit of waiting, but there's still secrets that are going to come out about this. So I just get the ick in your second house, like not you. And it's not it's just something's happened around you that's affected your money and you got the ick in personal relationships because of how people acted. And this is you bailing out from that. You recognize it and you're like, I'm not going to be a part of this. But you have a friend, you have an ally, you have a someone who wants to be there. So you do have like social engagement from a genuine source. Okay. So it's coming, and it's just temporary. Okay. Then we have the third, they. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about that. I know I'm going to trigger some people, but I can't live in a world where we just ignore that a portion of the population has been ignored. It hits me the wrong way. I'm not good with it. And so that's my way of making that better. I know it's not going to solve it, but that's just my way of making it more fair. Okay, so Cancer. Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay. Cancer, Sun, Moon. I got emotional. It's one of the things that I've been really thinking about for like couple months since that happened, the erasure, and it's really hard to watch. It's like your friends getting hurt, you know, you don't want to watch them get hurt. And people from LGBTQA plus have always been some of my closest friends, and I'm not from that community directly, but I'm proxy to it. I've spent a lot of time in those circles, and those people are some of the best people in the world, and it's very personal to me to watch what's happening to them. So just going to change the way that I talk, and I hope you guys are okay with that and don't get offended. I don't know why you would, but some people will. Yeah. Okay, so Cancer. My readings are probably not for them anyway, if they're bothered by this. But okay, so we have 9 of Rods, 9 of Wands for Cancer. So big love to you guys. Okay, so we have the Ace of Swords. And then we have the 9 of Pentacles. And then we have the 10 of Pentacles. Okay. Cancer's going to make money. Okay, so you're in with Pisces. You and Pisces can be best friends. Lots of money. There's money from that's my prediction for Cancer. It's going to be all okay. Lots and lots of money. Pluto is also in your 8th house. I see big money for Cancer. 9 of Pentacles, 10. Some of it's going to come from family wealth, but some of it you already have, and there's other monetary things. This is just a cycle that's beginning. Big money. That's huge. So there's this waiting around period, which was probably like this 9th house transit. And there's information, there's news that you're going to get, there's messages, there's letters notifying you that there's money. Lots and lots of money. Like you have the money reading. Hold on, I got myself a cup of water, so all this talking. See, other people pre-film, so they take breaks, they take notes, they take breaks, they film themselves. I just like, for all of us who do stream, it's like, it's a marathon. Anyway, so we have the 9 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles, and so, yeah, definitely, this is the money reading. Your transits are going to show up as early as this week. In your 10th house, look out for opportunities. If financial opportunities knock on your door, new jobs, new positions, new business opportunities, consider them. You can start working with these energies now. I would really encourage everyone should watch them, but when I start putting out the more Aries focused content, such as the Venus retrograde or the eclipse video, watch that, because we will be talking about how and why and where. But already from March 17th to March 24th, money is the focus point. There's not much in this reading here. It does suggest that there's this waiting period, which I think has to do with this Neptune in Pisces. So it's almost like you've been sitting there waiting for something to happen. Waiting for that time to come through, but it's been a while, and so it does come through. There is opportunity, there is growth, there's movement away from this kind of waiting. It's almost like how do I say this? Indefinite waiting, with no indefinite waiting, or perpetually waiting for something, or having things around in your environment that prevent you from being able to having things in your environment that prevent you from being able to move on. So outside circumstances that hold you back from being able to do what you want to do. But there's like, you're beautiful here, you're on the top of your game. I love transits at the top of the chart here. Like this kind of stuff is, Venus is in for the next couple weeks, or she's actually going to dip into the Pisces and then back into Aries, so you get her in Aries for a really long time. It's just a really nice thing. When they go direct, Mercury and Venus, you may want to do like beauty treatments, things like that, or just work on your aesthetics, whatever you value as beautiful. And then we have the 10 of Pentacles. This involves money, established money, receiving inheritances, which is Pluto. Pluto in your 8th house, I know we haven't talked a lot, could be hitting you really hard, really fast. All of us, Pluto can be actually changing things very quickly. And the name of the game is to figure out exactly what it's doing as it's doing it as fast as you can. So for some of you, in other words, inheritances may be coming faster than you think. And then there could be like abundance that comes out of this inheritance. But yeah, lots of money, lots of success. Position yourself well, Cancer. It will be well deserved. Also, Mars in Cancer, right? It's gone through its retrograde there. This is a really good time for establishing your territory, or if there's a job opportunity or career focus, maybe somewhere where you've interviewed before that you didn't get, and now you suddenly get this opportunity a second time. Something like this. Money is the key to your success and happiness at this time. It's a long time coming, Cancer. Okay, so 2 more signs. Thank you for being patient, everyone. Nice to see everyone. Make sure to like and comment. I think we'll be able to get this watched for everyone, so everybody can watch this, not only members. So we have Taurus next, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Taurus. Okay. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's pick some tarot cards for you guys. Okay, so we have the Knight of Cups. And then we have the Star card. And then we have the Sagittarian card, Temperance. And then we have the Queen of Swords. Okay. So one thing that I'll tell you guys, this is kind of a caveat. It came to me, go on Threads. Tauruses and everyone. I'm on Threads. I'm really liking the platform. I do like sometimes just writing something and it just going out there. But the thing about Threads that I've noticed over the last little while is that it's a really good oracle. It's a really, right now, because of who is on Threads, the people, I find that there's a lot of really interesting and uplifting and genuine messaging. So people are, like, Threads is in a golden moment, in my opinion. And it's the early adopters that are there, which means that it hasn't been commodified. Well, it's meta, so of course, but it's not been gamified yet by some of the creators. When creators gamify these things, then it goes like down the crapshoot. That's what happens on social media. People start manipulating it. But Threads is not at, I mean, sure, people are still gamifying it. I'm not trying to argue that, but overall, it's in a really sweet spot. And the sweet spot about it is the feeling that you get, not necessarily what you're going to get out of it, but like, the algorithm is so good. Like it's so good in terms of messages that you get on your FYP or on your feed. And it's just such a good vibe. So if you are Taurus or any sign, I'm going to say this somewhere else, is I'm just getting like, it's such a good way, like oracle, meaning the messages you're going to get messages on your feed on Threads. And they're just like, time and again, I'm noticing that I'm getting like really intuitive. They're not intending it that way, but the interconnection between what they're saying, who they are, and the feed itself is so good. it's just like they're really kind, nice messages for whatever's going on in my life or whatever. I've noticed, I'm like, that really hits the spot. I'm like literally saying it every day. So you'll see me on Threads a lot because I'm enjoying it. I haven't enjoyed a social media for a long time in this really altruistic, positive way. So whatever they're doing a good job there. And maybe I'll see you on there, but just for your information, I'm finding it's a really good oracle, like for messages and insights, or just, and they're not all like spiritualists. Some of them are astrologers, tarot card readers, but there's a lot of like just people saying random things that are nice or uplifting or intriguing or whatever else. It's a really good FYP right now, so, or whatever they're doing with the algorithm. Pure crack. I'm just kidding. The drugs are good there, man. Go check it out. So yeah, go and hang out. Okay, Tauruses, let's do your message. Somehow maybe it's meant for a Taurus. That's why I chose to say it now. But yeah, go. I'm feeling good vibes on Threads. Really, really good. Okay, so and I feel good vibes on YouTube too. I'm not knocking anyone down, but sometimes social media platforms have sweet spots, and I think Threads is in one right now. So really nice time to be there. Okay, so for Tauruses, so I do feel as though overall for Tauruses, past relationships and past friendships have really, it's been a long pattern of underwhelming and not living up to its potential for you. So you've been, I think it's a personal thing, like you personally feel as though let down, or you just feel like it didn't live up to its potential. Okay. And so I think with these transits, I just think there's like it's not necessarily a direct confrontation with anyone. It's almost like upon reflection, you want to distance yourself from certain people and certain groups of people, or people in general. Like you've learned some lessons. Again, it's not drama. It's more like you want to focus on different things. I think your focus is spirituality here in Aries. So it's all like, it's more about simplifying, and it's not that everyone's toxic, but maybe too many people are, that makes it too complicated. And I think your focus is generally shifting towards spirituality or attunement, or your personal connection to God or whatever you believe in. So it is very like, I rather choose to, I'll give you an example. I rather be alone. This isn't me, but this is for this transit. I rather be alone and pursue these spiritual interests of mine than be around people that are putting me in positions that are prickly or hurtful or difficult or heavy, you know? So the cards are very good. Somebody is giving you an offer that is very fated. I also feel like some Tauruses will find relationships at this time. So this offer with this star, you may be asking yourself, why have I been around all these people? And out of all of that comes a person who is abundant and like what you need, and they make there's a connection, a soul or emotional based connection. So in the midst of all this, you're finding the reason why you were there. It's probably a personal connection. For some of you it's romantic, for some of you it's friendship. Okay. And then we have this second part, and I feel like they're separate things, which makes sense because we're really talking about two signs. We have the Temperance and the Queen of Swords. And so I feel as though in the 12th house, I feel like there's critical decision making, very clear thoughts, very like sharp wisdom about spiritual matters. Some of you might be changing faith or your belief structure a little bit, and you want to just sort of sit with it and figure it out for a while. There's also something that you've been working on for quite a while that's of a spiritual nature, or your own personal truth. And there may be a rapid change or transformation that will require more attention to be placed to it. So I think that it's very good. Your journey with this focus on these groups of people that are not fulfilling is coming to an end. It's an ongoing pattern up to 12 years long. And now it's this focus on your personal journey. And already there seems to be a lot of change and a lot of transformation. Like you think you're going one way, but you're going to go another. I think that's going to play out over 12 months, like a year, something like that. Longer, essentially, but expect the unexpected. But I strongly feel, Taurus, this pullback from you, this kind of like, I'm just going to go do me because this is wacky. Like this other, like really turned off, done with it, enough of the drama, you've had enough of it. Okay, so next sign is Capricorn, last but not least. I was thinking about you earlier. And remember, you guys, don't go away because we're going to do the feather. Birds of a feather flock together. Let's do it. Okay, so. I peeked at the comments. I do all these behaviors because, like, you know, talking for 2 hours is a lot. Okay, so let's pick some cards for you guys. I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay. Whew. That water's good. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we have this came up, 4 of Cups came up a lot, huh? Have you guys noticed? Oh, you guys get the IC transit. Big transformation for you, Capricorn. We have the 8 of Pentacles. And then we have the King of Swords. And then we have the 7 of Pentacles. So money is central. There's a huge influence of money. You know what I think? Some of you are going to really hunker down with your family members, like your partner, towards financial goals. So for Capricorn, it's showing up as, for some of you, buying a home or saving for money. It's a really practical, no fussing about sort of energy for you here. It has to do with building foundation. It may have to do with ancestors. Ancestors in some way, like wanting to, there's like a family tradition of something that you're trying to be the antidote of by building security or building a foundation, buying a house. This is the 4th house. Speaking of this, there's a transit in September, which is a new moon eclipse in Pisces. No, full moon eclipse. New moon oh, Virgo. Never mind. Womp womp. So we had I'm getting my eclipses mixed up. We just had a Virgo, 2 Virgo eclipses across the way. Because what I was thinking is that if this eclipse happened in September 2024. So maybe this path to home ownership or property ownership is already underway. It really feels as though something is initiating for that will cause you to want to buy a home, or you see an opportunity and it's very like, keep my head down and working hard. And then you have whoever is in your life as a partner or whoever you're with, you're in agreement. It's very stripped down, very bare bones, very like, this is our strategy. We're going to, work this way out. Sometimes like this is our commitment. So it's like you pick a path, you're on that path, and it's sort of, I'm not saying it's for how many years or how long it's going to be, but you're both committed, or maybe by yourself, towards this practical, tangible goal, and it's going to be years or of commitment, which is like, no buying stupid stuff, kind of doing this, and just like knowing that commitment to this goal will lead to the outcome that you're seeking. And it's a privilege, and there's clarity about it. Okay, there's privilege and it's clarity about it, and it's, some of you are just saving for the down payment, or whatever goal you are being offered. There's an offer here and there's a decision, and it involves very, very committed. It's a heavy commitment, and it's going to frame your lifestyle for an extended period of time. And there's someone's insight or advice that is guiding you through this. It's almost like the playbook of how to achieve the things that you want. Okay, so it's a bunch of different synchronicities are around you, Capricorn, that are getting you to where you want to be in terms of financial independence. I get for many of people, this is going to involve like buying a home, and there's that quality of like making ancestors happy. So knowing that your mother or father always wanted this for you, or your grandparents, or maybe there's a family story involving hardship that you're trying to be the antidote for. So there's definitely some kind of personal, like it hit you in the heart sort of reason for why you're doing it. And it's a very good time for you to do this. Okay, it's a very, very good time. There's a clear path. The logic of this strategy or whatever you're doing is like awesome. So whatever you've figured out, this nose to the grindstone, hit it, go do it, be there. Okay, so that's the readings, you guys. I hope you guys had fun. And so I hope you guys had fun. I had fun reading for you. We're going to do the magic feather. So out of respect to, so first of all, I bought this from a store, but it's created by an indigenous native business. So please don't make these, okay? Don't make feathers. Don't put them online. This is a native practice. So I paid money for this, and out of respect to them, I'm just gonna show you guys the company, so you guys can buy directly from them and use the similar thing. So this is just showing respect, because obviously we know that here you guys can screenshot this for more information. Maybe I'll read it if somebody can have they are very gorgeous. Yeah, I have 3 of them. I have a green one, red one, and a blue one. But I hide the other ones because I don't want to hurt them. But it's so please don't make these, and do not put them online and say, hey, I just made this. This is indigenous, and so you have to, or native, and you have to get it from them or suck it up. Okay? The answer feather is a traditional healing tool for those seeking answers. Pick the feather you are attracted to and keep it with you throughout the day. So green for St. Patrick's Day. Your answer will become clear within the next day. Thank the feather and release it back to Mother Earth, or cleanse it in the moonlight and use it for another question. Okay? So we're going to do that right now, so you guys we're going to share. I'm sharing. Sharing is caring. And so enjoy the feather. I'm going to show you guys the feather and do as the instructions say. And hopefully by tomorrow, you guys will have your answer. So I'm a little slow. So I hope I'm not interrupting. Maybe I'll be quiet and then tell you guys the rest. It's so pretty. As you can see, I keep it in the original packaging. I don't want anything to happen to this. And I love green and yellow. I was actually wearing a green shirt before, but it was too warm, so I switched to this. But yeah, very, very pretty. So what we want to do with this feather is considering all this astrology we've talked about, you've listened to your messages, you want to ask the universe, where am I going? North Node Sun conjunction, right? Where am I going? Where is this all taking me? Give me light, give me abundance, tell me where to go, tell me what to do. And now for the next 24 hours, pay attention to the messages that are all around us. For the Taurus reading, and I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, I told you guys about how I've noticed that Threads is amazing for oracle messages. Not specifically oracles. It's just the algorithm and the people there. Go watch Threads and you will have an open heart. Let the answers come to you. And if you have a specific question, ask it also. You can participate or not, you know. It's totally okay to do this. I bought the feather and I take good care of it. So it's respectful. Okay? Open channels. So, like I said, I'm getting back into the flow of things. There's a lot to say about a lot of different things, and there's a lot of detail. So it's not all me just working really slow, although I would say that I'm working slow right now. There's also a lot of information that I'm processing. So if you're a member, thank you for being patient. I hope you are enjoying the last couple of videos I did. There's more coming. I'm going to do a video for members on Mike Carney, who's the new Prime Minister of Canada, because his astrology coincides with the eclipse in a big way. And beyond that, I will be posting things on my Substack. I am still going to do the full moon write-up because there's more information that will be on Substack for you guys as well, especially activation points. So I'll write that. So if you're waiting for that, sorry it took me so long. I found something really interesting this weekend, so that sidetracked me. But I'll get a hold. Right now, basically everything's a mess, and I need to sort of like tame it down. So I'm finding information left, right, and center while I'm not ready to bring in more information. So just be patient with me. I am working now, and I have been, and everything's in good practice. So thank you guys. Hi, Divine Feminine. Thank you for being here. You guys, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this. I think it's a really nice week. So enjoy it. And I think that it's bringing good things. So, and happy spring, happy new year, because we're starting another set. Okay. So we're going to do great, and you're going to do great, and we're going to see you soon. Okay. Bye.